Be professional, be professional, be professional. Come on, England! England against Iran. We're going all the way, guys. You heard it here first on ESPN's Football Forecast. But first things first, England versus Iran. Let's preview it. And the big question is, how many are England going to win by? But also, how many defenders are they going to use? We are going to talk about if Gareth decides to go with a back three against an Iran side that will defend quite deep, to say it lightly. Or will they go with a back four? Let's start off with a back three. Kweku. The three centre-back positions is both such a huge talking point, but it feels like a weakness, but it's a place where there's spaces for lots of players. And you could have Maguire, White, Walker, you could have Stones in the middle, you could have so many different variations. What is the right back three for England if we are to play a 3-4-3?
You can throw Eric Dyer in that mix as well. A player who's had some really outstanding moments in the England shirt. We all remember that penalty against Colombia. Remember the free kick against, I think it was Russia in 2016.
Yeah, I was at that game.
So he's had some impressive moments. But I think we will go with back three. And my back three personally would be, if Kyle Walker is fit, Kyle Walker on the right hand side. I'd have Harry Maguire and I'd have John Stones. And I think that's kind of a mesh of my own opinion.
Sorry, Harry Maguire on the left.
Harry Maguire down the middle.
Down the middle?
Yeah, John Stones on the left. John Stones on the left. Personally. And I think that provides Harry Maguire with a lot of protection. Let us not forget that this was a man that was in the team in the tournament for Euro 2020. I know his club form has gone out of the window. He hasn't got any form because he's not really playing for Manchester United at the moment. But he's a player that's performed well in an England shirt for Gareth Southgate. And I think we've got a lot of that in this England team, whether you look at Jordan Pickford, whether you look at Harry Maguire, whether you look at someone like Raheem Sterling. There's players that maybe you wouldn't pick on current form, but players that have served England very, very well. And I like the balance of that back three. I think Kyle Walker provides protection for Harry Maguire. I think John Stones has experience in playing in major tournaments. And I think that back three provides England with the base to go and allow the attacking players to flourish.
Okay.
My back three looks exactly the same for very similar reasons, but also I think club football and playing for your country are two very different things. Maguire comes into this England camp where he's popular, everyone likes him, and
again you're having Maguire. Why is not Maguire on the left?
Because I think Stones covers wide areas much better than Maguire. I don't want to see Maguire getting dragged out by any forward in the world, let alone an Iranian forward. Okay. So for me, I think you keep him in the middle, tell him, and what Southgate has done with him is he said, what you're good at is heading and lumping it out, not in a disrespectful way. And Maguire just sticks to that for England. And occasionally he'll bring the ball out, but give it to Stones. Let the man who plays play. And then Walker does your covering and is a bit of a cheat code because he's so quick. So that would probably be my back three. I think you've got, if I'm not wrong, you've got Dyer in the middle, have you?
Do you know what? I've thought about this a lot.
Yeah,
and,
I know.
Here's the thing for me. I think if Kyle Walker's fit, he has to play as that right-sided centre-back because I just think he's great there, and it allows the team to move up the pitch. It would allow you to play Trent or Trippier higher up the pitch, which I think both are good options. I think that's maybe another debate. Actually, draw a quick one: Trent or Trippier?
Trippier.
Yeah, I think I'd go Trippier as well at this moment. So I just due to form. But with the defenders, I don't hate Maguire in a back three on that left-hand side because you still have the cover of someone like Kyle Walker. But I wouldn't mind seeing Ben White as the left-sided centre-back. The reason I say that is the thing about Maguire, we were looking at sort of their stats. In terms of their passing stats, sort of much as he's actually got a better pass completion, Harry Maguire, than Ben White. Much smaller data set, just to say. And all three of Stones, Ben White and Harry Maguire have not had an error that's led to a shot. But Maguire over the last 3 years has had 7. But again, that was in a back four. So I wouldn't mind Maguire. I'm not sure I'd put him through the middle. I'd put him on the left-hand side.
Would you worry that... So you wouldn't have Stones?
Well, so Stones for me is ahead of Maguire in the team. And so the reason I have Ben White on that left-hand side is technically, in terms of our centre-backs, that left side is a problem. In terms of someone who's naturally going to be there. So the next best thing is to have someone who's just naturally really, really good on the ball. And I feel like Ben White could be the best option.
I do worry a little bit about Ben White with the group that we're in, that the ball's going to be getting lumped in the air constantly, and I do think he's a little bit fragile in that area. Yeah. And also equally, like, playing for Arsenal at right back where you've got like a centre-back who's Saliba who covers the ground very well, and playing left centre-back for an England side where...
But we should have the ball.
Yeah, we should. But I'm saying there will come times where we don't have the ball, and I don't know how much he's going to enjoy that. And the experience of that back three at the moment with Stones, Maguire and Walker is almost like imprinted on the team.
Yeah, I'd agree with your point about Maguire playing maybe on the right side or the left side of back three. If this was a Maguire in form, because let us not forget Harry Maguire that broke through at Leicester and then was really, really good in his first season or two at Manchester United, was breaking the lines. He was travelling the ball, and he was really, really good on the ball. I know we're seeing a different player right now, and that's partly due to confidence. So I would prefer to see him in the middle weight, a little bit more protected, and you can get John Stones and maybe Kyle Walker breaking those lines, and just get Harry Maguire to defend and do what he does best.
Okay, let's move. Let's know in the comments, of course, guys, who you would have in your defence. If we moved to a back four,
don't do it. Don't do it.
But if we did, but we should be dominating this game. I'd like to see us play a back four because I think we need another player further up the pitch to break down this team. Yes, they've got Taremi, they've got Asmoon. That's two players. We're England. I know that sounds entitled, but we've got a very impressive league. We've got all our players are from those impressive teams in the impressive league. We should be dominating this football match. There's no excuse for that. So with that in mind, I think there's moments, and I think Southgate generally, what I like about him is his humility, and I think at times he will go, okay, let's not get too stubborn here. Let's go and win this game. And I would like to see a back four for this game. I'd like to see James Maddison start this game. I'd like to see him play in attacking midfield. I think that's why they've brought him. If you look at Southgate's comments on him in the press conference, he was saying that the reason we brought him is that he's going to be good against the low block. He's going to be able to get in those spaces, and he's going to be able to score goals from outside the box. I think this is a perfect game for him.
I don't know if in the first World Cup game you take a risk like that, because if Iran take the lead, or if Iran win this game, or it's 1-1, Maddison won't touch the ball again in the tournament, because people will go, it's because Maddison started. And also Southgate will go, we went with the attacking idea, and that's where it went wrong. Also, I don't like the idea of flip-flapping formations in tournaments, because I think you play a 4 at the back against Iran, then do you risk it against Wales and USA? You probably don't, because they've got Pulisic, they've got Bale. There's just many more factors. Then you go back to this back three. Then maybe in the draw, depending on what happens, you come up against Senegal, for example, another side who's going to sit in low block. So then do you go, right, do we play with the back 5, we've got back 3, or do we play with the back 4? I think it just causes confusion. Stick with what you know.
So why have you brought Maddison?
Because there is a system to fit him in.
And also, there's the opportunity.
See last week's video.
We've seen it with England in these major tournaments. Where we look at 2018, the last game against Belgium was a dead rubber. It didn't really mean anything, and that's where you can maybe play James Maddison. And if he does perform in that, then you've got options. You've got things to think about going into knockout stages. James Maddison's a difficult one because at his club Leicester, he starts off on the right hand side, but he's given the freedom to drift wherever he wants to dictate the play. I think England are a little bit more rigid in the way that they do play. I would love to see him get minutes, but the clamour for Maddison reminds me of the clamour for Jack Grealish last season, where it's a player that maybe provides a little bit of that unknown and people are excited to see him. I can't see him getting major minutes in important games for England, and I definitely don't see him starting against Iran in the first game.
If you are playing a back 5 and you want that creative player, why would you start Trippier over Trent? Because surely Trent can provide you with that creativity to break down a low block, to play balls down the sides. Then maybe you don't need Maddison then.
Yes, I think that's a fair point. I think, if you do want to kind of go for it, I think this is the game. Actually, you're right. This is the game where if you are going to play a back 3, you do go with a guy who's in name a fullback, but really you just want him as high as possible to to play that diagonal ball across or put those crosses in. So I take that, but I just think Trippier's in incredible form, and Southgate is a little bit conservative.
Left wing back.
So go down that road. That's just not the answer.
Can I just say as well? I don't mind flip-flopping in tournaments in terms of formations. We did it quite successfully at the Euros, and it worked quite well. Obviously, went a little bit more conservative against Germany, probably our Southgate's marquee result as England manager, went to a back 3. But in other games where we had more of the ball, we played as a back 4. I think being flexible tactically is important in these tournaments, because you are going to play against teams that play in a slightly different way.
Final thing on England then, because there's then a question with that front 3, which again we spoke about last week. But a week on, if you're, regardless, it's probably going to be Kane, one on the left, one on the right. Who's missing out here? Because you've got Saka, Sterling, Foden, and Grealish.
Is this who we'd pick? I think it's probably...
Who's Gareth going to pick?
I think Gareth picks Sterling. I personally wouldn't, but I think he'll go Sterling, Kane, Foden, I think. Because he's gone with Sterling, I think he'll want the explosiveness of Foden. Me personally, I would go Saka, Kane, and Grealish. Mainly because I think in a game against Iran, yes, you want the explosiveness, but also you need players who can pen the other team in. What Iran are amazing at doing is they pinch the ball back and they will just keep lumping it into the corner. And then you have to restart and restart and restart. And that's where momentum goes. I think in this sort of game, you want someone like Grealish who'll keep the ball for you. You want someone like Saka who'll keep the ball for you. And eventually, you sort of make your way through Iran, I think.
I feel so bad for Phil Foden because technically he's one of the most gifted players that we have ever produced. He's so good at football. But
he's good at football.
He's good at football, yeah. Breaking news. Phil Foden is good at football. But he's a player that suffers from the fact that we don't really know what he is and where his best position. England will never play 4-2-3-1, so we can never play Phil Foden in number 10, which I would love to see. I think
that's what I'm saying.
But I think that he misses out. I think Southgate will always go with Raheem Sterling. He's a man that served him so well. He was our best player at the Euros. I think Bukayo Saka deserves a start as well. He offers that explosiveness that I say that Phil Foden offers, but also the ability to go in behind defences as well. So I think against Iran, we'll see a front three of Harry Kane, Raheem Sterling and Bukayo Saka.
So with Iran, you've got Johan Bash, you've got...
Hold on. Who are you going for in your front three?
I keep flip-flopping it. I think Gareth might drop Sterling, you know.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's so up for grabs. I think Saka's just in great form. With Iran, they're going to defend for their lives, aren't they? Like you say, they're going to keep the ball in the corners, and then they've got some good players up top. Do you really think they'll get anything out of this?
I honestly think they probably will. I think England come into this tournament nervous, mainly because there's naturally always expectation around England. And Iran come into this...
Win 1 in 6 either.
Yeah, and then you have Iran who come into this with nothing to lose. And I think those are the most dangerous things, which is why whenever you're going into like predicting World Cup scores and things, you literally cannot, because there's teams like Iran that come into this, they have no interest in keeping the ball. Carlos Queiro's ball is horrific to watch. Yeah. So if you're taking the day off work, don't. Just watch the highlights. There's going to be 2 shots on goal. They'll sit in, they'll be dogged, they'll keep lumping the ball out, players will be getting kicked up in the air, left, right and centre, and then they'll go long to Taremi and Sardar Osman and see if they can compete and squabble and pick up second balls and set pieces. And that's where I worry a little bit. It depends. If Southgate goes into this game and goes, these are a really good side, so like give it your best shot but be very cautious, we probably get out the other side. If Southgate goes into this goes, we're going to batter this lot, which I don't think Southgate will, then Iran go perfect because we can nix them in.
I think the threat of Osman is what England have got to be worried about, and like you say, the long balls, very, very harsh on Carlos Queiro's ball. But it is true, but they have to play a certain way because they are limited in terms of the players' ability. I don't think this game is going to be too dissimilar to England versus Tunisia in the World Cup 4 years ago, where it's going to be tight. It's the first game of a World Cup, new environment. I think England will just about nick it, but it's not going to be like a 4-0 or 5-0 smashing that people are expecting. I think England will just about get over the line in this first game and start to build momentum off the back of that.
Okay, I'm going to be a bit positive. I'm going to say 3-0.
I like it.
Happy days. We'll get one early, set piece maybe, and then, hang on a minute, Iran have got to come out. Bang, bang.
Iran are not coming out, whatever happens.
Okay. So, prediction, what are you saying?
I'm going 1-1.
Oof.
2-1 England.
Okay, let us know in the comments down below.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.